Aleph, Daled, Mem spells the word Adam. Adam ends with the letter Mem, and it's a final Mem. We have two types of Mem. We have the regular Mem, which is spelled like this. And then we have the final Mem, which means that whenever this letter falls at the end of a word, it's drawn as a square. Interesting, right? What is a square? What is God trying to tell us? What is the Hebrew language trying to tell us about a man that it ends with a square? What does a square represent? So let's draw a square and try and understand what it is. The square has four sides. Interesting, very interesting. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Okay. It has four vertices. 1, 2, 3, 4, which is four corners. And they also create four angles. 90-degree angles at that. Very interesting. Very, very interesting. And if we connect the sides through the middle, we get four worlds. We have 3, 4 quadrants. Interesting. And then let's take a look at this. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 middle points. Meaning we have 5 centers. But then there's there's all of these in between those. And then in between those, and then in between those. So there's infinite levels of 4s. You understand? Because in between these, you now have all of these quadrants. Look at this. And then if you keep going even further, you have more 4s. You have more worlds. You have infinite worlds in a square. But I still don't understand what this has to do with what we're talking about. What does it have to do with Adam? What does it have to do with man, a human being? So, in order to express that, we have to look at the angles. We have 4 90-degree angles. So 4 times 90 degrees gets you 360 degrees. 360 degrees is a circle. A circle is eternal because it has continuity. You see? There are no points, there are no vertices, there are no sides, there is no end, there is no difference. There is nothing more symmetrical than a circle. It's more symmetrical than all of the shapes. It's even on all sides. A square is not even on all sides. A square can be like this, it can be like that, it can be all of the ways. But doesn't this apply to all the shapes? Like a triangle or a rhombus? Why are we talking about a square? Doesn't a triangle also have a complete form? Isn't it a complete shape? It only requires 3 sides, not 4. Why are we fixated on the square? Well, let's talk about this one. It's very, very interesting. Let's take a right triangle. A right triangle has 3 sides, 3 angles. Very nice. If we take this, it says 90 degrees. Very good, very good. If we say this one, we have also to split the 90 in half because it's a right triangle, which means it's 45 and 45 on both sides. What does that get us? 180 degrees. 180 degrees is half of 360 degrees. So a triangle can only see half of the picture. A triangle is not complete. A triangle doesn't represent completion in the same way a square does. A square really encompasses the circle. It gets the point. There's 4 worlds, there's 4 angles. There's the positive of the negative, there's the positive of the positive, there's the negative of the negative, and there's the negative of the positive. There's 4 different perspectives, just like a coordinate plane. If we look at a coordinate plane, we have 4 quadrants, like in mathematics, right? This is called origin, which is 0, 0. But if you go in this direction, you're going plus. If you go up, you're you're also getting plus. If you go left, you're going negative. If you go down, you're also getting negative. So north, south, east, west. Those are the 4 directions. These are the 4 angles. These are 4 worlds. This represents completion. The number 4 represents completion. And to make everything wrap together so beautifully, what happens when you add another triangle to this triangle? What happens when you add another 180 degrees to create a perfect square? What do you get? You get 360 degrees again. You get 180 times 2, which is 360 degrees. So the moral of this lesson that I wanted to show is that the square represents completion. It represents the 4 worlds. This in Kabbalah is known as Asiya, Yetzirah, Beriah, and Atzilut. The 4 spiritual worlds. The 4 different planes, the 4 different dimensions that exist right here, in this world. They're not somewhere else. The spiritual worlds aren't in heaven. Heaven is here. Man has the ability to connect and draw down the energy, the light of the spiritual worlds. It's the only form of life that's able to do that. We have just played around with a bunch of shapes, angles, and numbers, but this is all the wisdom of geometry. In fact, Kabbalah deals with the wisdom of geometry in understanding the meaning of life. Everything is mathematics, and that's what's so beautiful about this all, because these 10 Sefirot are the numerical value system. Every number comes from 0 through 9. This is the tree of life. That means this is the organization of life. What's a tree? A tree is a structure. It's an organization. It's a diagram. It's an image. It's a graph. That's why it's called tree diagram. It's a chart. This is a map of life. This is the map of life. Without numbers, without math, there's no hope in understanding anything. You can't relate to anything. You can't measure anything. You can't count. You can't have time. You can't have denominations. You can't have degrees. You can't have intervals. You can't have differences. Difference, change, distance, separation, evolution. You won't be able to understand gravity. You won't have any mathematical equations. You won't be able to measure your height. You won't be able to measure the world. There would be no intervals. There would be no degrees. There would be no locations. Nature is built by math. Everything is numbers. The world is designed. Do you understand the precision that went into the sun being the perfect distance away from the earth? And without these 10 values, 0 through 9, there is no life. There is no difference. Because math is the way that was made possible.